What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Alchemy Mondays. I am joined by my co-host, Eros Up. Eros, tell them what you've been working on.
Hello. Um, yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Aerosup, and you can find me on X at Eros to Ethos. I put out a lot of Neoplatonist and astrology and metaphysical content. Um, I'm thinking that I might soon here put out a very long, probably summary of Plato's Timaeus. Why not?
Well, if you got the time, it doesn't sound like you do, though.
Oh, yeah, but I love it.
Very true. Very true. Well, yeah. So I got a couple of passages picked out. Do we have the one that
Yeah,
we've been working on pulled up?
Philosopher's Tincture by Paracelsus. Let's see.
You're not going to go with the full name?
I don't even remember it.
I know there's a bombastus in there
Bombast,
somewhere.
yeah. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we are on chapter 7 concerning the renovation of men. Some of the first and primitive philosophers of Egypt have lived by means of this tincture for 150 years. The life of many, too, has been extended and prolonged to several centuries, as is most clearly shewn in different histories, though it seems scarcely credible to anyone. For its power is so remarkable that it extends the life of the body beyond what is possible to its congenital nature and keeps it so firmly in that condition that it lives on in safety from all infirmities. And although indeed the body at length comes to old age, nevertheless it still appears as though it were established in its primal youth. So then, the tincture of the philosophers is a universal medicine and consumes all diseases by whatsoever name they are called, just like an invisible fire. The dose is very small, but its effect is most powerful. By means thereof, I have cured the leprosy, venereal disease, dropsy, and falling sickness, colic, scab, and similar afflictions, also lupus, cancer, noli me tangere, fistulas, and the whole race of internal diseases more surely than one could believe. Of this fact, Germany, France, Italy, Poland, Bohemia, etc., will afford the most ample evidence. Now, sophist, look at Theophrastus, Paracelsus, Bombast. How can your Apollo, Machaon, or Hippocrates stand against me? This is the Catholicum of the philosophers, by which all these philosophers have attained long life for resisting diseases, and they have attained this end entirely and most effectually, and so according to their judgment they named it the tincture of the philosophers. For what can there be in the whole range of medicine greater than such purgation of the body by means whereof all superfluidity is radically removed from it and transmuted? For when the seed is once made sound, all else is perfected. What avails the ill-founded purgation of the sophist, since it removes nothing as it ought? This, therefore, is the most excellent foundation of a true physician, the regeneration of the nature and the restoration of youth. After this, the new essence itself drives out all that is opposed to it. To effect this regeneration, the powers and virtues of the tincture of the philosophers were miraculously discovered, and up to this time have been used in secret and kept concealed by a true spagyrist. Here ends the book concerning the tincture of the philosophers.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so that was Paracelsus, and he was talking about the lesser circulation. So he wasn't exactly as direct as you'd like, but I think that's part of the philosopher's style. And so I thought I'd bring a new philosopher to the stage. Let's see. Whoops.
Who?
So this guy right here would be Ruben Swinbaum Clymer. And this guy was from 1878 to 1966. He was an American occultist, leader of the Fraternitas Rosicrucius, who extensively wrote on alchemy, specifically focusing on spiritual transmutation and the philosopher's stone within, rather than just the physical chemistry. Right. And I think both of these things have to be involved with the physical chemistry aspect.
I feel like the Rosicrucians, like they, as a secret society, were way more into alchemy than any of the other ones. That's what it seems like to me, at least.
Oh, big time. Yeah, they carry on the tradition because the way that they spread the Rosicrucian literature at the start of the Holy Roman Empire or the Second Reich was through Rosicrucian literature, which is really, really hard to read and very steeped in alchemical symbolism.
I have a
So
lot of it. I love their alchemical art. I'll have to pick some cool things out for next time.
absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to get into it because the Rosicrucians have this huge overlap with the Knights Templar that a lot of people don't talk about. And I think it's very important for actually understanding the history. So we'll start with the preface. May the children of darkness become children of light. The occult sciences reveal to man the mysteries of his nature, the secrets of his organization, the means by which he may attain happiness and perfection. In short, the end of his destiny. And this was the secret of the Egyptian initiates. It is also the hidden teaching of all sacred writings and is the basis of all religions. The Old Testament, as well as the New, reveals the same mysteries, but how many are able to understand the inner secret meaning? Only he who thoroughly understands alchemy can understand the Bible, and he only can read the jargon of the old masters or alchemists can understand the secret of the ancient and modern initiation, Egyptian or Masonic. I am fully aware that this claim will be ridiculed, but those who see only with their physical eyes are almost blind. The old mysteries were dual in their object, that is to say, that the wise teachings had two purposes in view, or as we may say, double doctrine. The first idea was to draw man from his state of barbarity and to civilize him, and to take civilized man and teach him how to become perfect. In other words, to lead man who was believed to be lost or fallen back to his first nature. According to these teachers, man must be regenerated, and this can only be accomplished through initiation. Sounds a lot like that MK Ultra to me a little bit. The second object was to discover the means by which matter could be raised to the first nature, which was also believed to be lost. Gold was the symbol of the first matter, as it was thought that gold was to matter that which the ether of the eight heavens was to souls. And the seven metals which were known then were each named after one of the seven planets and formed the ladder of material purification. Thus, the initiation had two divisions. The first division, only the propensities were purified. The man only was put through the crucible. This was a spiritual alchemy in a human initiation. The second initiation led up to the mysterious operations of nature and was an initiation of the body. The one we find in the search for the cornerstone of the philosophic temple, and with ingenious symbols taught the initiate that all humanity should and could be reunited to the one great fold, in one faith, one hope, the same great love. The second division of the candidate was taught to search for that which led humanity back to the golden age, the philosopher's stone, the elixir which prolongs life. The one served as the veil of nature as it does this day would be easy to convince the true student of the truth of this. But the present work on alchemy and the alchemist is in itself so clear in exposition of the subject that it would be out of place in this introduction. Alchemy is analogous with the ancient initiations. It is necessary that the philosopher should have an acquaintance with the true germ of nature before commencing his work. When the alchemists speak of their gold and silver, symbolized in the lodges of masonry as the sun and moon, from which they extract their first matter, they do not mean the common gold and silver, because these are dead, but the gold and silver of the philosophers are full of life. The object of this philosophy and all initiations is to obtain the knowledge or the art on how to make perfect that which nature has left imperfect in the humankind, to find the treasury of true morality. Well, what's interesting here is he's kind of actually reversing the order that the ancient philosophers had when it came to nature, because nature perfected things through its art, right? So this is why you follow the path of nature as an alchemist, is to find how to make gold through observing nature, right? He's saying it goes the opposite direction here. Anyways, for back when the first commended to reflect on himself, he saw that although knowing and approving of the good, yet he mostly committed evil, and he found that the power of his desires was greater by far than that of reason. He only enjoyed partly, or in appearance only, his free will. It became clear to him that he would acquire the liberty of choosing and determining his actions. Throughout his life, he must subdue the passions which controlled his very being. From thence sprang the first idea of the sage, to be a free man and a master of himself, and every institution and every philosophy which tends or claims to make matters and adepts must teach how to acquire the liberty and this kingdom. The greatest of all victories is the victory one gains over oneself. I don't know where he's quoting that from, but anyways, alchemy, like the sacred art, had its origins and its home in Egypt. It was closely associated with the religious rites. The Egyptian priests were initiated into the mysteries of the divine art. Like its predecessors, alchemy postulated an orderly universe, but alchemy was richer in fantastic details and more picturesquely embroidered, more prodigal of strange fancies than the sacred art of Egypt. The alchemist constructed his ordered scheme of nature and the basis of the supposed universality of life. The alchemist sees in everything and that life is threefold. He recognizes the manifestation of life in the form or body of a thing, in its soul, and in its spirit. Things might differ materially in appearance, in size, taste, smell, and other outward properties, and yet, according to the alchemists, be intimately related because they were produced from the same principles and were animated by the same soul. Now, again, he's going backwards here, because the way that the alchemists would identify the properties within the plant is by outer indications, right? So you would see the yellow plant would have to do with the liver, right? So he keeps reversing the order here. It's kind of interesting. Things might differ materially in appearance and size, taste, and outward properties, and yet, according to the alchemist, be intimately related because they were produced from the same principles and were animated by the same soul. On the other hand, things might resemble one another closely in their appearances outwardly and still differ in their essential qualities because, according to alchemy, they were formed from different elements and in their spiritual properties were different. The transformations of one thing into another could, according to alchemy, only be effected by spiritual means acting on the spirit of the thing, because the true transmutation consists essentially in raising the substance to the highest perfection whereof it is capable. I don't know. Let's stop it there. What do you think so far? I can't hear you.
Why stop it there? He was just talking about the microcosm next.
Okay.
I mean, I'm interested to hear what he says because I mean, clearly he has studied it a lot. I doubt that like learning alchemy deeper is ever going to make sense of like the Apocryphon of Thomas or anything like that. But I mean,
Well, I
so
think the
far
initial
pretty interesting.
the initial mysteries that he's talking about, he's kind of glossing over because all of these are like twofold in polarity, right? So not only is it one way, it's also this other way, but he's not sort of phrasing it like that. He's kind of saying, well, actually, it can be one or the other, which is really different from what a lot of the alchemists have expressed it as. It's just sort of a different way of, I guess, stylized expression. But I don't
Well,
know.
and it's interesting. He's like talking about wanting to, just free will and wanting, he's like using order to break out of order. It's like,
Right.
that's, it sounds like his purpose statement.
Right. Well, again, like I think he might be going about it backwards in some cases, but I think he's got a similar idea to what they were originally saying. Let's keep going here with Dr. Clymer. Dr. Clymer has admirably succeeded in the present work on alchemy and the alchemists to make perfectly clear the vague and mystic language of the old masters, and he makes assertion that man himself is the subject of the alchemist. But when we say man, we mean man in his threefold nature, spirit, soul, and body, three in one. This is the epitome of the universe and is called the microcosm. Man in climax and culmination of the forces which for ages have been seeking harmonious expression. How to use his forces and express them harmoniously is the secret of this philosophy and is the pearl of great price, as called by the alchemists. That's actually in the Bible. A deep and earnest study and steadfast purpose on the part of the neophyte to live the life taught by our teachers will in due time open his vision to the true and most wonderful meaning of these writings. All this foregoing philosophy would be idle unless relating to man's moral good. The true understanding of it gives us a natural religion and expounds our former faith. It seems to be connecting a link between earth and heaven, between moral law and material law. Morals are but the revised statutes of religion. Spirituality is religion itself. God above us in our presence, not somewhere else. A stronger influence than a theory can be. We must have more than a conjured or conjectured God. Our own intelligence resides somewhere in something, which is the substance. It is the most subtle, homogeneous, ultimate element of our bodies. The what? Dissection, says William Hemstreet, in the mind is matter, has laid open to our very eyes the secret channels, battery, and paraphernalia of an electric fluid. Thus, may not the creative intelligence inhere the in the universal ether? That is the image in which we have been created. He goes on to say that the plant needs the actual contact of the sunshine not to process itself a theory about sunshine nor a belief in sunshine. Man needs God that can assimilate with him, with his personal, spiritual, and physical particles in reality of contact, like the proximity of one we love, not a theory of God or a belief in a distant God. All of the foregoing philosophy in the Holy Writ, sciences matches it. The man who wrote the scriptures had great unspoiled hearts and brains, while nature itself was roomy and rich. For moral reasoning, long sight, and fine intuitions, they were giants compared to us, encrusted as we are with modern materialism and upon mere human standards. We should revere their views. They taught, as a science does now, that virtue, love, holiness, hope are the hygiene of the soul, and that vice, guilt, despair are diseases and death of the soul. For to be earnest, carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. St. Paul, in the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof is no death. Proverbs. So when we give our minds earnestly to a study of the mere transoriousness of mortal life and affairs, and yet feel how contagious our hopes and loves are, then we realize the utter incompatibility of soul with earth. We see that the most substantial human success and possessions fade literally and exactly like the scenes of a camera. All personal grandeur, strength, popularity, business, or political success, official station, and power, property, family, long sunny plateaus, and even empires pass away like the clouds. None of them are abiding here simply because the physiology is not abiding. And if the body were everlasting, then the earth and time were eternity. The human aspirations would fit physical life. It requires an eternity to match human loves. Our ambitions are more than commensurate with the earth and time. Is there an answer to that demand of every heart for permanence? We walk, act, and build for permanence with scarcely any ideas of death, but we are upon quicksand here. Is there one place that is safe and sure, and seeds in the ground have innate qualities drawing them upwards into the air and sunshine? So we have to So we have innate qualities drawing us to the ethereal realms. This is the science. On one who can contemplate a flower, a newborn babe, or the devotions in a sick room and say there is no God, has simply no brains. This is morals. When we assume with scientific certainty that mind is linked to durable vehicle to a spiritual body, which is ultimate matter, and that it has boundless ether as its realm of life and enjoyment, then we are ready for delivery from our earthworm condition up to the sunshine, the joy, the countenance of eternity. Suns and planets perish, but in that final crash, they cannot harm a soul because that is a astral fluid which penetrates and passes through physical matter as magnetism does. Oh, do you want to take over? Do you
Um,
want to get? Oh, I'm sorry.
you're
It's
not
not even a
sharing.
mistake.
I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. He's quoting Christians, and it's like, a lot of this is definitely from
It's a lot inspired. Well,
Platonists.
that's the problem. Is that a lot of this Christian mysticism got funneled into alchemy in the 1800s? Because where else would you take it?
Oh well, it's beautiful anyway, and
I like some of it.
yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's coming off Gnostic in some contexts, and then he's like coming off not Gnostic. I'm like confused. I'm like, I can't tell if you're Gnostic or not. I probably like a nuanced Gnostic.
Right. Well, I think a lot of the lead to gold stuff has kind of been put to bed. We see now that they're doing it in the high energy laboratories right now. But the whole question is how exactly can it be done in a low energy environment? And does that have to do more with the, universal nature of matter itself as opposed to, decay from atoms that are unstable? And so I think that question is abiding within spiritual alchemy as well. Is it necessary to have this, step by step process leading back to the source, or, is there a possibility of just exiting this sort of false reality and entering a different one? And I think,
I know, but if you enter a new reality, there's still going to be ordering principles in that reality. So I don't know. But it is fun to try to imagine other alternatives of ordering principles, I guess, if you wanted to.
Well, right. I mean, it really hinges on how real the principles at work in our universe really are to us at this scale. Like,
Hmm.
are are the ideas of atomic decay really even real to us? Like, can we imagine how that actually affects us, and can we manipulate that, or is that something beyond our reach? Like, these are all questions that really have a lot to do with telekinetics and all the rest of the emerging science on, you know, what's that field called that they it's the I forget, but it's related
Yeah.
to the kids who have this sort of psychic ability, and the ones that are nonverbal autistic kids. I don't know if you saw that, but the telepathy tapes. It was a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So this woman is interviewing all of these nonverbal autistics who can use like this keyboard to get their ideas across, and they're typing out really strange things that only the person you know could know. Right. There's very little interaction. Like, they didn't even think that these nonverbal autistic kids could type, but like one out of every four nonverbal autistic kid is actually capable of typing messages to the people. And so what they also found is that another smaller fraction of the kids who had that also had telekinetic abilities or telepathic abilities and could read people's thoughts. And so they were just going around interviewing these kids and the parents and all these different situations about this. And it really kind of opens a bunch of uncomfortable doors. Like, do you have to be trapped inside of your body to get outside of it as a matter of practice? I mean, think about meditation. You have to be trapped inside of your body to then essentially overcome or come out of the body. So is that part of it? I don't know. What do you think?
Um,
I'm all over the place.
I mean, I don't know. It's worthwhile things to explore, you know. Um, but I also don't think there's anything wrong with being human. We are like, though, there is something about being human that is greater than being an animal, right? So, um, for a reason, uh, so I don't know. I think it's only natural that we would explore these things, and I don't know. There is like higher evolutions, I'm sure, and I guess maybe we're even seeing that physically now with the nonverbal autistic kids.
Well, I don't think it's a new phenomenon. I think they're just actually starting to talk about it because this has been going on for a long time, and they just sort of leave it out of the literature because they don't want to be seen as kooks. They've even got the people who did the studies to say, "Yeah, we've known about this for years, but we wanted to maintain our funding, so we didn't bring it up."
You think it's been going on since like medieval times?
When they were called witches, yeah, I do. I think they hid that shit from the government because you never know what they're going to try and do to people
I
who have those kind of abilities.
I don't know if nonverbal kids would have survived medieval times. Maybe, I don't know. But they wouldn't have, especially like if you because a lot of people didn't know how to read or write. I mean, I just don't know.
How could they communicate unless there was a series of symbols that they could point to? That's the thing too. It's like these kids knew about the alphabet, knew about all the things that they were being taught. What the teachers thought was passively, like they weren't absorbing any of it, so they would just keep playing all of this stuff on repeat. But really, they had absorbed that stuff and mastered it, and there was no way for them to communicate it because they aren't in full control over their bodies. And that's what this whole thing sort of showed, is that it's a perfectly normal mind trapped inside of a body that is completely out of control. That's a completely different way of looking at it. So I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, what's the sensory input there? I think a lot of this really does have to do with sensory input. And if you think about it, all forms of evolution are based off of some form of sensory input, right? So think about bats. They made themselves blind by living inside of caves. And now they can never come back out into the light and readapt because they're already adapted to the dark. It's kind of a scary thought. I mean, once these things happen in nature, it sort of digresses the whole species off of it on a different track. Have we already done that with AI and machines? Have we stopped being sort of on the biological track?
I mean, I don't think you can ever get away from that because that's like the only thing special about. I think nature is the sensory aspect of it, like we're the sensory function of the universe. And I don't think you could get around that. But obviously, like we're probably going to become like part machine. I don't know. That starts to get kind of dystopian. I don't know.
Who knows? We might already be part machine right now if we classify how close we keep them to our bodies. I mean, when has anybody ever done that? Maybe rocks. Like they had a lucky rock. Maybe that was a cultural thing. But that's about the only time where I can see like, carrying a trinket all the time that can do stuff for you.
Oh yeah, and we're so enmeshed. Like I mean, I don't know. I'll speak for myself. But I would say probably most of us. It is yeah, and then I don't know. I'm glad that they started moving away from virtual reality a bit because I was definitely like, we're definitely gonna live in virtual reality. I guess we still
Pods.
could, but they seem to have abandoned it kind of.
Well, the pods are just getting smaller and smaller. Like we think we're free right now, but actually it's just a bigger pod, and it's on the way of getting smaller and smaller. So, you think about information control. Think about how Google is actually intentionally making their search engine worse, so that people have to spend more time on their search engine, and they can sell more ads. Right. So the bubble, right, that's already been constructed is now closing in a little bit, and now we're all sort of starting to feel it.
Yeah, I don't know, but we are human, and I don't know. It's kind of confusing. It's just hard because it's like nature is so important for intuition and all sorts of things. It's like if you cut yourself off from nature and you just live in this sterile cyber world, that could start to get really weird because then it's not based off of, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to imagine things would start to kind of move away from like natural law and universal law and these s- mimetics and stuff that we understand today, and it could just grow into new weird stuff that is unlike
Like the
anything.
like the technate of Gaza. Did you hear about that? They've declared
No.
that Gaza will be governed by the technate, and it's
What
like,
is
wait,
that?
yeah. Well, this is refers to the technocracy movement of the 1920s. They got chased out of Buffalo, New York, because they were fraudulent. They moved over to Canada. This is where Elon Musk's parents came together. Is through the technocracy movement, or grandparents came together, and then his parents came together as some sort of offshoot of that. But it was a rich club where they thought that they could scientifically manage all the resources on the planet. And so the technate is their idea of what a new country is the technate. And so they're just managed by technical bureaucrats or technocrats. It's beautiful.
Tech
Like the worst ideas never
technocratic
die.
communism.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. Yeah. Woo. Mm,
But
that's
yeah,
interesting. Elon Musk's parents, huh? They look real weird. I mean, they're real weird. That makes sense. I could believe it.
great. Well, I think we're gonna have to resist at some point. So when do we keep being humans? That's the real question.
How many people are gonna resist?
Well, at some point, it really doesn't matter. You got to do it for your own soul, right?
No, no, I know. It's just well, and then what does that resistance even look like? Because sometimes it's, I don't know.
Well, how
Maybe.
nano is the tech, right? We might already be cyborgs because there's a lot of nanotech floating around out there that they didn't really tell us they were injecting us with. Who knows? We might already, because this stuff actually sheds. What a lot of people don't get is that, yeah, as you're taking these vaccines, you are doing stuff to your own body, but you also shed and produce those antibodies, quote unquote antibodies, and throw them off to other people. But really, it's just biotech that now their bodies are taking in as well. So, are we already cyborg like? Maybe so. How nano is the nanotech?
Well, and I mean, yeah, things just get so dystopian. We don't even know what they're doing. I mean, I don't know. I feel like especially with some of the weather stuff, I mean, gosh, there was like last year where I used to live, there's no trees around, right? Like it's I parked in this open parking lot, no trees. And this one day, it was like super foggy out, but it's like this weird yellowy fog, and it's like raining a little bit. It's sprinkling, and I go out there, and my car is covered in like what looks like the thickest, like yellow pollen. And it's like, how? There are no trees anywhere near here. And I don't know. It's like you just see so many weird things where it's like, well, what even are they doing? Like we have no idea. We're so in the dark and I
Maybe it
don't
just looks like pollen. Maybe it just looks like smoke. Maybe it just looks like fog. How do we know? Do we test this stuff? No. How do we know what anything's made of?
yeah.
It's pretty
I
sad,
mean,
actually.
honestly though, I lived I mean, I could have taken a sample into my
You could have.
office.
Yeah, you're in a unique position to do that. Next
Why
time,
didn't I do
have
that?
you got to have a sample kit. Oh, we need to get you a fanny pack, and it's got all the different sampling kits.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to start a Arrows fanny pack fund. So if you'd like to donate to that, just find her on Twitter. Send
It's
her some money.
very important.
It's true. That fanny pack could mean life or death. We could put some band-aids in there too. That'd be
I'm a
amazing.
medic. And then I'm a medic and I just swab things.
Take blood samples on the street. You never know. I heard the other day that they can get $4,000 for a single bag of unvaccinated blood. Regular vaccinated blood goes for about 700, but unvaccinated blood specifically because it can be used for other opportunities in terms of making biologics. That goes for $4,000. So what you're donating in there, they're selling, and you get zero for it. You get nothing. It goes the same way with organ donation. You get nothing for it, and they sell those organs for massive amounts of money, especially to Israel. It's fun because
Oh,
they can buy
really?
it for some reason. Yeah, they can buy our organs. We can't buy organs from each other, but Israel can buy organs from our hospitals.
They do weird things over there. I don't know. They do
Well,
weird
no,
things with their 3,000 child prostitutes and all the weird things
they
that
get
they do.
the organs of Americans first. So if they have a blood match or whatever, they can buy them, and then we
Oh,
don't get the organs here. So
we get pig organs. Okay.
right.
They can't do pig. It's not, that goes against their religion. I don't know if you thought about that.
That's true. Everybody needs to start eating way more pork. Eat more pork. I need to have a sign scrolling at the bottom. Eat more pork. Be unkosher. And that's a good place to end it, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, eat bacon, I guess. Yeah.
I can't even handle bacon anymore, but I'm going to do it just to be a patriot. Eat more bacon.
I'm really into like I like pepperoni and like salami. I mean, I feel like that's kind of, is that pork? I don't know.
Yes, you got some pork in there. There's lots of different things in there, but there's got to be some pork too. Mystery meat. All right, guys, we'll see you again next week, probably with some more experiments. So stick around for that.